It is a fantastic afternoon here in Lexington, Ohio, as we get set to duke it out once again for some absolutely phenomenal racing action for the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Previously, Long Beach was at one point a mainstay on the calendar. This time, it seems like it's Mid-Ohio to stay. It's been in every single season for the last several seasons, and never has it ever disappointed. Austin, it's going to be a fun race this afternoon. Austin Etcher, of course, joining me in the broadcast booth as we get set to duke it out for the Mid-Ohio No-No-Go-Go for the second round of season number 10. It was an awesome race that we had just 1 week ago, and no doubt we're going to be in for a wild showing here this afternoon. Austin, we know it, we love it, it's Mid-Ohio.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Mid-Ohio, one of the best racetracks on the iRacing service, in my opinion. It's one of the older road courses. It's a little technical, a little difficult, but it's also got those long straightaways and heavy braking zones down into the chicane after that long straightaway after turn 2 through the kink of 3, that turn 4, turn 5 chicane, and then the downhill section down into turn number 6. Very, very technical side of the racetrack. Going to lend itself to a lot of different overtakes, a lot of different opportunities, especially in the second and third sectors, and even in sector 1, going down into turn number 2, that heavy braking zone, that long sweeping hairpin. I think it's going to present a lot of opportunities for these guys tonight.
We're taking a look at the championship standings entering tonight. Ron Wolf on top by just 2 points over Alexander Bueller. Aaron Thacker brings it up in third with Ronenberg in fourth. Austin Tucker for fifth with Fleming in sixth. Crawford, Romano, Carlton, and Freed close out the top 10, exiting the Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. So, well, no changes, I guess, for the championship standings. It's just the first race. That was the point setter, and you know that these, we're probably going to have a completely different top 10 by the end of the night.
I think that's a pretty safe bet, right? Obviously, just the one race that has gone in today. I mean, obviously, there's going to be a couple people staying, but is there going to be anybody staying in their exact same spot? Probably not. A lot of switching going to happen tonight after the heat race and after the main event. A lot of points on offer for these guys tonight. You know that they're all going to be gunning for them.
And of course, for the championship standings, new season means new teams. Hot Wheels ahead of the Fluorescent folks with 99 Movies down in third. That is Flying Donut Motorsports making their dominant entry. Serial Team 6 still about to party. Classic Club Click is out. Schnitz and Giggle is seventh. And how about that? The Misfits actually besting Scamaria Frodrari, at the end of race number 1. Don't see that all that often. The Misfits, of course, a team that is basically everybody that has no team. So it'll be interesting to see how this one could pan out for them.
Hey, kind of unfortunate for the Misfits there, but hey, I mean, you know, I say unfortunate. Fortunate that they're up at the 8th place position, like you said, Scamaria Frodrari. What an amazing team name that is for this season. I absolutely love it. Just besting them out ever so slightly, and well, a little over half a keg of beer drank through week number 1. Honestly, kind of rookie numbers for the beer league. I'm surprised it's not a little higher.
Well, you know, these two tracks, they require a lot of concentration, and I think that's what these drivers had to kind of navigate was throughout all of that. And anyways, that is going to, of course, take us into racing action this afternoon. Qualifying is, as we speak, underway for the time being, with quite a lot of drivers out to try and put down lap times. Let's talk about some of the newcomers into this series. Nate Brooker, the British bomber, making his return. You see him on screen now. We haven't seen him out all that much in seasons past, but he is looking to put down a solid outing this afternoon in his return. And here's a brand new driver to the series, Antonio Alvarez, the huge-ass driver for the number 92 BMW M2. He is looking to see if he can't put this car upwards towards the front. That would be pretty big for him. We have heard he is pretty quick, and for the driver to Columbia, he could do big things tonight.
Not too surprising that the driver from Columbia is on Team Huge Ass. I mean, it just kind of makes the most sense, to be honest, right? It's pretty standard for Colombians, so I'd like to see that from Alvarez, and there he's getting that, well, that back end off the racetrack through the dirt, skating it through the dirt. Not the way that he wants to start out his qualifying session, already running off the racetrack, but everybody else is trying to put in a banker lap here over the course of the first couple minutes. You know, somewhere like Mid-Ohio, one of the shorter laps we're going to be at is Chris Hannigan. Just about got a lap down, but he's going to nose that thing into the inside wall. Coming back to the start-finish line and have his lap, well, even if it wasn't invalidated, it wouldn't have mattered because he just lost so much time. But, you know, tough break for Hannigan. But you're going to get plenty of laps here tonight in qualifying, with it only being about a minute and a half to get around this place.
All right, on board with Aaron Thacker. He'll take us for a lap around the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. He just got himself into the 8th place spot, sending it into turn number 1, and then it's a trip up to the keyhole, a place that could be a prime passing opportunity this afternoon. And a good defense if somebody gets down your inside at turn number 1. This sets us up for the longest straight on the racetrack.
And like you said, longest straight on the racetrack, so that makes this exit unbelievably important. And also in qualifying, it makes it very important to find a drafting buddy, right? Somebody to just kind of break that headwind that you're going down into, coming down towards turn number 4. Thacker here having somebody about 7-8 tenths of a second in front of him, giving him an opportunity to break through into that draft, to get a little bit more speed down the straightaway, setting himself up nicely for the chicane. Took the first corner just a little narrow, making sure that he can really widen out the entry for the second corner, and kind of doing the same thing on exit for the second part of that hairpin as well, so that he gets another good entry into the final corner of the chicane, the right-hander. Now down the hill into the double right. This is going to be a tough area as you see the car in front of him getting loose. We're going to see people doing that all the night long, especially over that hump that Thacker just went over. So far, though, for Aaron, really good lap so far.
There's a reason why they call that section the roller coaster section on this racetrack. You see Aaron Thacker already kind of countersteering that wheel as well. Quite a bit of power underneath these little club cars, right? And when we say high in power, we mean high in power for the type of cars they're managing. Out of the final corner, Thacker already being bumped down to the 9th place spot, but he is immediately going to retake it as he'll get back around Darren Bai. So that is a lap around the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. And again, qualifying is still very, very much underway, with a long way to go before racing action is decided tonight.
Yeah, still 12 and a half minutes left, but a good chunk of the field has gotten a decent banker lap in. I'm going to go back and look at our practice lap times. We got down all the way to a 129.4 actually from some of our qualifiers. Some of our qualifiers during practice, but currently in qualifying, the fastest lap is only a 131.5. So we're about 2 seconds off the pace from what we were running in practice. I gotta think somebody's gonna jump up here and get themselves into the 130s at some point, or at least somewhere close. Ronenberg just going fastest up at the top of the board with a 31.42. So we're getting ever so slightly closer to those 30s. I'm surprised nobody's hit it yet, though.
Well, it's a chilly day out, right? 65 degrees Fahrenheit in the air, and that's chilly by race car standards, right? 84 degrees Fahrenheit on the track. So while the track might be good, the air temp is not helping matters. They're clearly struggling for grip out there right now, even though it's a completely dry surface.
Yeah, you can tell a lot of these guys are struggling for grip. And like I said, coming over that one hill with Thacker, when we were on board with Thacker, the car in front of him, you just kind of see him going down that downhill into the double right and then up the hill over the crest. I know we saw the car in front get lose the back end going down the downhill section through the double right, but even going over that hump, coming out of that corner, and even a couple other places on the racetrack, like the chicanes of turn 4 and 5, you're going to see people losing that back end time and time again tonight, especially because of, like you said, it's a relatively chilly day out there. 65 degree ambient temp, only 84 on the track. Not a typical level of heat that we typically see in the beer league, right? So it's going to be a struggle for these guys to find grip.
It sure will, but that's part of what makes these guys able to thrive in an environment like this, is that unique challenge that so many of them have to deal with. Jordan Babcock gets himself on the boards, goes 31st though out of a current 31 cars. Right now, 39 looking like I've registered and attempting to qualify this afternoon. Alex Coffer back out on the racetrack, taking some sighting laps. There you see David Elkin making his way around. Shane Cameron further down the field. He still has not gotten on the boards, and neither has Adam Joseph Milhot, though Milhot is currently on his first outlap of the session, almost halfway in. Chris Hannigan trying to make his way out of the final corner for the Heralds of Galactus 137, or the 99 Movies Machine, I believe that is. He will cross the start-finish line, and it'll remain second place. How about Ron Wolf?
Last week's winner. Yeah, last week's winner, jumping up to 9th place there. So Ron trying to get himself back-to-back good finishes. I believe Williams just jumped himself up to 7th. Was that Williams that jumped up, or Clayton up to 6th? Either way, one of those guys up into the top 10. But Wolf into the top 10 once again after getting the flip last week after the heat race. He got that invert, started on pole, and defended brilliantly the entire race to be able to bring home that win, his second win ever in the beer league. Great start to the season for Ron Wolf, and you got to think, hey, if Ron can just get that flip again, if he can sit somewhere between 8th and 12th in this heat race, and he's going to have a great shot to go back-to-back in the main event.
Shane Cameron puts his first lap on the boards, goes to 27th. Corey Barrett improves to 17th. And then you're going to have Justin Hall jumping up about 8 spots. He'll go up to the 19th place position. Eric Rottenberg still remains on provisional pole for the time being, 11 minutes into the 20-minute qualifying session. For those that are just joining in, we are still in qualifying for the Beer League. We'll be underway for that for the next 9 minutes or so. But it's going to be a 15-minute sprint race, a little break in between for us to dissect, and then it'll be a 1-hour main event here in Lexington, Ohio. For those that might be new to the Beer League and how they run their races, there's only 2 races that are predetermined in these championships. There's not a lot of practice that's been done leading up to this. The 2 races that are confirmed, one of them is Alex Crawford's pick next week, which is actually going to be the Snetterton circuit, and it's a 200 layout. So that's going to be next week. He is, of course, the defending champion. He gets 1 track pick. And the other one is yours, Austin. Meanwhile, Antonio Alvarez, how about this? He's going to go to 4th from 15th.
How about that from Alvarez? What a lap, putting himself into the top 5 on his first appearance in the Beer League, and everybody third to 5th is unbelievably close. They're separated by 6,000ths of a second at a road course that takes a minute and a half to get around. So Hannigan, Alvarez, Tucker, all under a blanket inside of the top 5. Gonna put on a pretty good show during this heat race, especially because we're not seeing Alex Crawford up at the front of the field. Right? He hasn't laid down a good lap time. He hasn't put himself up to the very front. I'm shocked.
Oh, now he has.
As soon as I say that, there he is. Okay, well, go figure. Who would have thought?
Crawford making the seat our words? No, I've never seen that happen before.
Yeah, that was great timing. Unbelievable.
Anyways, back to track picks, right? Snetterton's an interesting one. I've never actually called or watched a race at the Snetterton circuit. I've driven a few in other sims, but I've never actually done a race there, and I don't think the Beer League has either. That's going to be a very interesting circuit to go to across the pond of the UK, especially the much shorter 200 layout that only runs around the perimeter of the facility. It doesn't go into all the infield sections like the 300 layout does. What about you, Austin? Have you put thoughts into your track pick this season?
I mean, well, I want to make this as difficult as possible for these guys, but you obviously want to keep it within reason, right? I can't pick the figure 8 or whatever. I probably can't pick the hill climb course, even though that would be kind of cool for the Beer League. I would like to see maybe one of their case races going on one of those or something. Tucker, like you mentioned, just moving it up to the 4th place position. But I don't know. We gotta do something fun, something different. I don't know. You think they'll let me pick a rallycross course? These cars look kind of rally-y.
You can only fit 10
like rally cars.
You can only put 10 cars on these tracks. Is the problem?
Well, yeah, that rules that out. Oh, well, if we want to go to a course where we can put as many cars as possible, then let's go to the LA Coliseum. What do you think about that?
I don't have a camera pack, but it's not like you need one. Just put a static cam up on like row 3 of the grandstands, and you're good. You'll see everything.
But no, I'll put some more thought into it this week. I know I got to get these guys at least an idea of what I'm thinking. So we'll put in some thought after the race tonight. Maybe
you'll put in some thought. I don't have a say this time because I got Le Mans last season.
Yeah, that's what I like to hear. I do get to choose this just outright. I don't know. I'll come up with something good. I'll come up with something good for you. Hey, you see, you're trying to influence my decision. I don't like that. But no, I'll come up with something here over the course of the next week. There's plenty of interesting racetracks on the iRacing service that we have to choose from. But I definitely want to pick something off the wall, something different, something that you would never see in the Beer League.
5 minutes remain. We're 3/4 of the way through the qualifying session. Alex Crawford continuing to extend his lead at the top of the field. He will go to a 131.2, so a solid outing for Crawford here this time around. Eric Rottenberg a 131.4, so about not quite, about almost a quarter of a second off the mark, and Chris Flams all the way back in 3rd as well, struggling to see what he can do with this. It'll be interesting to see how this one pans out.
Yeah, still 4.5 minutes here, so all these guys having about 2 to 3 laps left in the qualifying session, depending on where you're at on the track right now. But currently looking, at the bottom of the screen, not looking like anybody's laying down any heaters. There's a couple people that are running slightly better sectors than they had in the past. in specific areas of the racetrack, but a whole lot of yellow down on the bottom. Nobody's laying down anything super crazy, and a big part of that could be all the rubber that we're seeing getting laid down on the racetrack. Obviously, the racing grooves starting to get rubbered in even more, but also just offline. If you go ever so slightly offline, there's a ton of marbles on the outside half of each of these corners. I mean, you can just see it going around the final couple corners right here, just all the marbles on the outside of the racetrack. If you go slightly offline, you're losing a good chunk of time as Alexander Bueller just goes 8th fastest.
Bueller jumps from 10th to 8th. Jeremy Castro trying to get a good lap in. Got a good third sector. That will get him up to 23rd, but it will get him no further than that. So he's going to make his way through. Chris Bright had a good sector 1, but a bad sectors 2 and 3. Seeing what the Cinnamon Toast Crunch number 10 can do.
Chris Bright, Chris Bright's an interesting case, right? He doesn't typically have like the race winning speed, but he's like consistently 6 to 12. He's like always in that speed range, I feel like, week in, week out, no matter what car we're in. And right now, just outside of that, currently in the 13th place spot. But that's a great spot whenever you're thinking about the heat races. We saw last week, Ron Wolf, who's currently sitting in 2nd, as we see one spun off in the last couple of corners, finished 12th in that heat race, flipped to the lead, and ended up winning the thing because he had the track position to do it and was just able to put on a great defensive drive. Wouldn't be surprised to see somebody like Jake Kasich in 11th, Ron Wolf again in 12th, Chris Bright in 13th, Darren Bai in 14th, Aaron Thacker in 15th. All those guys I could totally see getting the flip and being able to hang on to the lead.
Tom Badol working his way to the final couple of corners now as he tries to put himself on the boards. First and third sectors are good. Second and fourth are down. Does this improve them? Only the 27. So could be more. There's more pace to be found in that number 13 BMW, despite having Volkswagen badges plastered on every door panel on that thing. Only 2 minutes left, so drivers are now starting their final laps.
If you're starting a lap right now, you've only got one more to go. So only 2 minutes to go in the session. Heck, even these guys finishing right now, able to have one more lap time around. 30 seconds left on the clock, essentially, to be able to give yourself one more lap. Looking at Tanner, well, we're not looking at Tanner Klein, but Tanner Klein a little bit further back, coming out of the final couple corners, trying to set down a decent lap time, but currently back in 31st. I don't believe Tanner was able to improve on his lap time.
How about that for Bright? Chris Bright up to 8th, jumps up 5 at the buzzer, and that'll, with him just going off track, that was his last lap, so that's not bad to go out with that time.
No, that's a good lap for Chris, right? Putting him easily in the flip zone, where as long as you don't wreck in the heat race, you're probably relatively safe, because we know Chris Bright has that consistent pace. I just said he's typically 6 to 12. Well, he's sitting right in the middle of that right now in 8th, 200ths ahead of Alexander Bueller. Wouldn't be surprised if he finished in the top 5 in the heat, honestly.
Take a look at the start-finish line on back. There's Campbell and Brooker both across the line. 25th and 21st for them in their qualifying efforts. Tom Madola coming to the line. Does he have enough to improve? Good on the second half. That will get him up to 21st, but he will be no further. He remains outside of the top 20. Now, here comes Greg Beckman. What can he do coming off the final corner at 25th?
That's not a good lap time. 1:41.6. I think his first 2 sectors were absolutely terrible. So, unfortunately for Beckman, I don't think that he improved any on that final lap in qualifying. Yeah, he's had 4 laps in a row invalidated. So now the next one on the board, Tanner Klein once again. 30 seconds left. You can see he's already a minute and 20 into his lap. Going to be coming around this final corner any second. See if he can get anywhere near. Oh, I believe he took the toe. So Tanner's out of it. Next up, it's Shane Cameron, Josh Freed, Evan Campbell. Those might be the last guys. I don't think Campbell's going to be able to do it.
No more drivers will be able to make it back to the line. So that is going to do it for qualifying here on this Wednesday afternoon. And round 2 of the Beer League gets set to kick off in earnest once again. Season number 10 has had a good, strong run. No reason for it to stop now. We're going to take a rundown now and show you how everything lines on up from Lexington, Ohio for the Mid-Ohio No-No-Go-Go for race number 2. Starting on pole position this afternoon, it is going to be one Alex Cofford alongside Eric Ronenberg. From there, it's Chris Flams and Austin Tucker. Antonio Alvarez picking up the top 5, along with Chris Hannigan and Scott Fleming. Chris Bright, Bueller, and Clayton will close out the top 10. From there, it's Ben Williams in 11th with Jake Kasich in 12th, Wolf in 13th, there by Aaron Thacker, Jason Lee, Shane Cameron, Justin Hall, Corey Barrett, and Tyler Carlton round out the top 20. And continuing on down through your field, it's going to be Madole, Brooker, Kaplan, Castro, Beckman, Campbell, Smith, Gamble, Harrison, and Freed for the top 30. And at the tail of the field, headed up by Tanner Klein, Ryan Verhulst, Adam Joseph Milhot, Matthew Dupuis, Jordan Babcock, David Elkin, Giovanni Romano, Tyler Augustino, Stefan Purcell, and Tyler Viennan for a perfect 40-car grid.
That's what I like to see. 40 cars here for the Beer League, keeping it nice and consistent week in, week out. Like we've mentioned before, the Beer League, one of the most consistent in terms of driver count, and it's not a surprise. This has been a fantastic series ever since we've gotten to take over the broadcasting rights for it. These guys put on a show week in, week out, and I got to expect Mid-Ohio today is going to be nothing different. I'm seeing some messages in the text chat regarding the pace lap, I suppose. It says take the bean, follow the person in front of you, no penalty if you don't take the bean and die. Talking about the chicane. So I'm not quite sure what these chat messages are, but it sounds like we're following people rather than just racing off the bat. I'm kind of confused.
Interesting. They might be going for the IndyCar restart zone off of the back straightaway. But the lights are going to flick on. And the sprint race is underway for the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Coffer with a good getaway. Everyone else fanning out behind as they come through the final corner, trying to see who's got what for this field as we work our way through turn number 1. Coffer pulls clear, and Ronenberg picks up the number 2 spot. Looking like we're racing after all.
Yep, Crawford out to the early lead. Now ducking down to the inside. Oh, that's what it is. They take this on the first lap.
Gotcha.
I forgot they take this on the first lap. Okay, fair enough. A little bit different. I like to do something somewhat different, but they're the 37 going off already. Of course, they probably didn't practice this much at all. So, having to take that on the first lap, a little weird, but they got it all sorted out with just one casualty.
No problems here in this one. The rest of the field now fanning their way out down the straightaway as we make our way in towards the sandbox, dubbed as China Beach for the first time this afternoon. There's been some discussion about potentially paving that section, especially after the violent IndyCar crash that happened there this past year. Meanwhile, still 2 abreast all the way through the middle of the racetrack, and Crawford is pulling a gap early on here.
Yeah, Crawford already out to a decent lead as we go down the downhill into the double right. Crawford trying to get as good of a run over the crest as possible, using absolutely all the racetrack. Ronenberg right behind him, a little bit different, but somebody head on into the fence further back through the field. Not quite sure who it is. Shane Cameron in the 74 having to get back on the racetrack. He's going to go all the way to the back. Oh, and a couple others have found the fence coming over the crest. Not too much of a surprise. That's going to be one of the most difficult corners all night long, and that's the 7 of Corey Barrett.
Alex Coffer leads lap number 1 to green. No surprise here. Let's ride on board with Shane Cameron and see what he saw. Oh boy. So he lost it earlier, then got hit. And then he drove it head on into the barrier from there. Then this is what happened to Barrett and Greg Beckman.
3 wide going into there. Honestly, they get it sorted out decent, but honestly, I feel like Corey just got pinched a little bit too narrow coming through that corner. It's a tough sight line coming over that hill. It's a blind exit to that corner. Maybe you don't quite know where where the exit, the very edge of the tarmac is, but I just feel like Corey got pinched a little bit too tight coming over that crest, and he didn't really have much of a chance.
We're watching the battle from 18th on back, as that is right now Nate Brooker, the British bomber, leading the way. Looking at Verhulst trying to get a run on Campbell. He's going to get on the binders as we enter that area. Oh, we got multiple cars. Oh, a huge crash. Back in the field, 4 cars still colliding, still spinning around. Gambrel is involved along with more Dupuis. Mailhot stopped on the racetrack.
Yeah,
oh my goodness.
Just Mailhot stuck in that one. Oh my goodness, that's a huge incident.
Wow.
Coming down the long straightaway down to turn 4.
3 wide of a pinch. They were 4.
Yeah, it's probably not going to work out on a road course more times than not. And, it definitely did not work out there. 4 drivers hard into the outside fence. Just now working the end of lap number 2. Maybe a little aggressive, a little too early, I would have to say, for the E race.
Getting a bit confident with these cars, and maybe some of the Dunning-Kruger effect getting involved in that there. But here we go. We got a lot of drivers now, single file, packed. Whoa, boy! Heads up, Alvarez! Way out wide, and Kasich just followed him in with that mistake. And Brooks Clayton trying to capitalize.
What can Clayton do? Can he end up taking the position? Looks like Alvarez, though, down on the inside. Hanging on side by side behind him. Williams and Kasich going at it. We got 2 battles side by side coming out of turn number 2 and then down into the long straightaway kink of 3. One of them gets sorted out as it looks like Williams taking that position over Kasich, and Alvarez starting to get away from this group behind him. But side by side again, coming down into the chicane, that Life Mobile down on the inside. Oh, Alvarez off the racetrack, getting these guys bunched up behind him once again as they all funnel through the chicane. And this is not the prettiest chicane section I've seen out of a group of cars all over the place. And now the 187, Ben Williams gets spun. The Life Machine, Scott Fleming, sends him off into the tire barriers.
And there goes one of the highlighters. So the fluorescent flock is off the road. Well, you got Kasich, you got Fleming, and you got Clayton still packed up wide to stern here in a 3-way battle for the 9th place spot right now. The current battle for the transfer spot, the last invert spot, sorry, will be between Darren Bai here and Aaron Thacker here. Assuming Carver takes himself out, that brings Ron Wolf back into the picture. And Alvarez is in.
What in the world would he be coming down pit road? I'm a little lost with Alvarez coming down pit road from the top 12. Maybe he's wanting to do the Crawford Romano strat of starting at the back. But, typically you run a little bit longer. Looking at the 79 of Gambrel stuck against the outside wall here, coming over that crest. Another incident. And again, it's not going to be the last one that we've seen coming over this set of corners. Shane Cameron again having some issues. Same thing down on the apex. Oh, and Gambrel just nowhere to go.
Yeah, Gambrel got collected, I think, by Corey Barrett. I think Barrett kind of got a bit involved in all of this. Here, let's ride on board with Barrett.
Yeah, Barrett behind the whole thing. You can see Shane Cameron already loose. Smoke coming out of the back tires. Gambrel gets tagged in the left rear, and then, well, Clayton had absolutely nowhere to go with that one.
Corey Barrett had nowhere to go, yeah.
Or, sorry, excuse me.
Oh, look at this! Nate Brooker with a huge crossover on Jeremy Castro as he took that one with force into China Beach. And now, there is Ben Williams. He went off the road, and now, there's Ron Wolf off the road. He's now under heavy fire from the British bomber.
My word, Nate Brooker, where in the world have you come from, sir? What a couple of moves Nate Brooker has just made in the last half of this lap. Getting himself up into the top 15 and within shouting distance of that top 12 transfer spot where he could get inverted up to the pole. A couple of great corners from Nate Brooker. That move that he made on Jeremy Castro was absolutely ridiculous.
It's a great drive from him. Oh, he's in too hard. Ron Wolf, gets back through, and you can see Evan Campbell trying to do the same. No dice for the time being, but this is some aggressive dogfighting that we're seeing from 15th place on back, and it's checking up everyone in this little field right now. Meanwhile, Crawford pulling away, Flams pulling away, Tucker pulling away. They're kind of running in a bit of no man's land. This is the big fight right here.
Yeah, a big group of cars coming down into turn 2. Just trying to get it sorted out. The 24 of Jeremy Castro side by side. That's a battle that he's got going on with Jason Lee coming out of the exit of the corner. We're on board with another driver a little bit further back. Another 2-wide battle, just a ways behind these guys up front. I believe we're on board with Verhulst right there. Excuse me, Josh Freed back there in the 21st place position. He was in a battle with Justin Hall.
And now almost some 3-wide, even deeper in this battle pack. Oh, Lee off the road. He comes on and collides with Corey Barrett and now just slams to a stop, and that's going to check him up directly into Carson Catlin. And now Catlin gets sideswiped by Tanner Klein. They're both off the road.
Oh, Tanner was just trying to widen out that corner as if there wasn't a car there, but Catlin was he got completely stopped off of that incident in front of him just a moment beforehand, and just couldn't get it out of the way in time. But I mean, poor Catlin, right? He had nothing to do with either of those. Was just minding his own business, gets stopped on the top of the hill, and then gets pushed off the racetrack at the bottom.
And all of this Leads to just 7 minutes to go in this sprint race. All of that happened in just 5 laps. That is a wild thing to mention. And now here goes Hannigan. Hannigan with a big lunge to the inside of Chris Bryant. Picks him off and right, nearly kicking the tail end out. Hannigan up to 4th.
How about that? The Nolan Rimple machine up to the 4th place position. Great job from Chris Hannigan with that beautiful sponsorship face on the hood of that thing.
It's a majestic beast indeed. Fight down the field. Ben Williams, Justin Hall going at it. They're going to go door to door. As racing action continuing on in earnest. This is on board with Ben Williams. He's got that machine out of Florida directly alongside. Oh, a bit of a pitch there. Coming down to the turn 5. And now looking for a crossover attempt here. Ben Williams is not taking that line down.
Oh, Williams still trying to hang on to the right rear, but just was not able to do it over the crest of the hill. Now down to the slow right-hander into sector number 3. The double right-hander downhill right here. What can Ben Williams do? Can he set himself up nicely to be able to challenge Justin Hall for this position like he was just doing a couple corners ago in that number 187 highlighter machine? But no, he's going to fall a little bit off the back bumper here. Ben Williams, who was running inside of the top 12 before getting spun off the racetrack, just trying to recover at this point. Back in 18th, he wants that transfer position so bad, but the problem is that spin has cost him so much time. He's 10 seconds back from the 12th place position.
5 minutes to go, coming up to it. Fights on for 6 with Alexander Bueller now having Eric Ronneberg trapped behind him. Ronneberg shoving it to the inside. Bueller in hot. Makes it easy for Ronneberg to facilitate that pass. And just behind them, Clayton and Fleming now going side by side through the keyhole.
Man, the back end of these cars has been stepping out time and time again for the exit of turn 2, turn 5, over the crest of turn 9. I mean, just everywhere on this racetrack. The back end is just not happy for anybody. You can see it time and time again. The rear tires want to slide everywhere, especially whenever you're in these side-by-side battles, pushing just a little bit harder than you probably should. We've seen it over and over again. Just the right rear getting ever so slightly too far out, or the left rear coming across turn number 9. Wait and see if the 37 can make any type of move on Brooks Clayton. Scott Fleming's had a decent race so far, had a bit of contact, sending Ben Williams off the racetrack, and there's Ben Williams again off the racetrack. What in the world is the jinxes tonight for me, man? This is ridiculous.
Ron Wolf almost having a similar moment. Here's this 4-way scrap for 9th. Clayton, Fleming, By, and Thacker. And right now, this is the battle to see who starts on pole. But that would go to Aaron Thacker right now with the top 12 invert.
Aaron Thacker currently in the 12th place position, but you got to think Alex Goffard's still up in the race lead. We know he's going to bend himself somehow. So that transfer spot will end up going back to Todd Madole, currently running in the 13th place position, but still 3.5 minutes left. We'll have to wait and see. Can somebody like Ron Wolf, Nate Brooker, Evan Campbell, can any of those guys catch up to Todd Madole and change who's in that transfer spot?
I don't think so. I mean, they've got like a 4-second deficit. That is a lot to make up in just what's going to be about 2, maybe 3 laps of racing here.
Yeah, and specifically, Madole has a lot of clean air too, right? It's another 3 seconds in front of him to Thacker. So you would hope, if he's battling somebody, sure, we can maybe make up 3-4 seconds, if they make some contact, have some issues. But Madole's not even racing anybody. It's going to take a pretty big error to get him to lose that transfer position.
See so many different lines formulated as they come on around through China Beach and beyond. They are really fighting hard to try and see who can get some kind of a momentum drive going for him here. Well, I don't know how this race is going to pan out, but I tell you what, we're having a good time. This is a solid race. Mid-Ohio is a track I'm not a big fan of as a NASCAR circuit, but as a club track, it is fantastic because it puts on some good racing.
I agree with you 100%. I think the bigger bodied stock cars, or well, I guess they've ran the Xfinity Series here a couple times, I believe, but especially thinking of the trucks, they're just a little too big, right? A little too wide, a little bit too much dirty air with a little bit too much speed. These a little bit slower. You can play with the draft, kind of put the car wherever you want to, even around some of these very, very slow, windy corners like the last couple on the racetrack. I feel like there's just so much more that you can do with your vehicle in a place like this from the driver's seat to make that extra bit of a difference and get yourself that little bit of extra speed. I love watching it with the club cars. Right now, we're still seeing great battles all throughout the racetrack. The battle for ninth is still or as tight as ever. Brooks Clayton, Scott Fleming, Darren Bai, and Aaron Thacker all under a blanket fighting for these spots.
2 laps to go, and now 37 started to close in just a bit more, looking for the inside down to the turn number 5, and that is going to send Scott Fleming through and into the 9th place spot. Great job for him.
Clayton able to get back to the left side though. Unfortunately for them, that becomes the outside for this corner. Man, just look at all the marbles on the outside of some of these corners already. I mean, we're only 13 minutes into this. Chris Bright off the racetrack, gonna bring a couple more marbles onto the racing surface, dropping himself back to 7th place. And again, side by side, Clayton Fleming, just about side by side. Clayton could not quite get there. Still looking at the inside, but he's gonna back out of it before we get down to the last sector. But every single corner on this racetrack, the outside is just ridiculously covered in marbles. It's almost like you can't go out there and try to make a move.
Only 1 minute to go. There's Alex Coffer taking his usual exit. He's going to make sure he doesn't run into muddy, dragging some grass onto the racing surface. But Coffer now going to be officially out, so Flams the Catbirds need to win this race. And look at the 9 car, really stuffing it in there with Brooks Clayton. Scott Fleming up the road, doing a good job on hanging on. But Clayton is one of those drivers. He's like a dog with a bone when he sees a spot up for grabs.
Yeah, and Clayton all over the back bumper as he's been for the last couple laps. Both these guys switching the position back and forth, getting side by side, just working each other over. But this time out of turn number 2, Clayton does not look like he's got a great run. Obviously, he's got the long straightaway down into turn number 4 to where he can utilize this draft to get himself a little bit of a pull back up to him. But man, the exit out of turn 2 was just so good for Scott Fleming. Clayton's not even close coming down to the chicane of 4 and 5.
Clock will officially expire this time by. There you see Alex Cofford spearing off the road, and while he will quote-unquote win, with huge air quotes, he is not going to be officially successful, as he is going to bring to a stop just shy of the line. I don't think he found a good place to do his usual shenanigans. He should have taken the normal racetrack and then just gone straight on to China Beach and see how much air he could get there into that sand trap, honestly.
I would have liked to see it, but instead, he's handed this win over to Chris Flams coming out of the final corner in heat race number 1. Chris Flams gonna be the guy to win it. Austin Tucker in 2nd, Chris Hannigan with that Nolan Rempel paint scheme in 3rd, Eric Ronenberg 4th, Alexander Bueller in 5th.
And then here comes the battle for 9. Scott Fleming. It'll be Fleming, Clayton, Bai, and Thacker. Aaron Thacker will, Tom Adol will pick up the last spot and let the festivities commence down off at turn 1.
Yeah, I don't know if there's really a Cofford spot at Mid-Ohio. I think you need about. Okay, well, if you have a couple other cars, it's good. You know, there's a couple decent beer league spots, right? But not good solo spin spots.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Oh, somebody is just cartwheeling back there. Not sure who that was that went for a ride, but you know, it's the usual party. We're used to seeing it. This is nothing different. One guy upside down. They're having a second party further down here at the keyhole right now.
Some people are still finding air, even at one of the flattest parts of the racetrack.
Yeah.
They're still able to find a little bit. It's not terrible.
It's all about determination. 3 more cars, it looks like, that we have yet to see to the checkered flag. And that will be that. So let's take a rundown of your official post-race results from the from the sprint race this afternoon. This will be for the top 12 to get into the top 12 invert. Flams from Tucker, then Hannigan, Ronenberg, Bueller, and Bright, Kasich, Fleming, Clayton, Bai, Thacker, and Madole. They will be the 12 that will be making their way up. And I tell you what, it's pretty darn good for Tom Madole to make himself on pole position this afternoon. Ron Wolf will not get that advantage. He'll have to work his way to another win the hard way, potentially.
Yeah, unfortunately for Ron Wolf, just one position off of getting that flip again. And, you know, I think Ron's great. He's got great speed, you know, good top 15 pace for the beer league. But, man, it's going to be a very, very tough race for him to go to 13th to 1st to go back-to-back. Would have loved to see him get that one more position to be able to flip up, but just not meant to be tonight.
Not meant to be, but there is definitely still chances to get something working for him. Quite a few drivers still seeking win number 1, but Alex Crawford, he's a driver that's taken a lot of wins at this racetrack. We take a look, though, as to how that race went down, and I think that really emphasizes, just like at CTMP, how important it is to not let the leaders get away. If they do, it is effectively over right from the get-go.
We'll have to wait and see in this main event. Gotta keep yourself clean the entire race. Gotta make sure that you keep yourself up towards the front. It's gonna be tough for guys like Crawford and Romano to come through the field at a place like this, honestly. I feel like we learned last week that this car is relatively difficult to pass at, and with the field, relatively even, I feel like for Mid-Ohio, I think it's gonna be tough for some of the faster guys that typically start at the back to come through the field tonight.
So, favorites to win this race. Obviously, we know who's starting on pole, but so rarely do they ever stay there. I mean, Ron Wolf, we saw last week, that was an exception, not the rule. Are we seeing something similar, though, this afternoon, or are we going to be seeing an upset?
I don't think we're going to see something like we saw last week. No hate to Todd Madole, right? I think Madole's a great driver, too, and he's got plenty of speed, but I do feel like there's a couple really fast guys up in the top 12 still that are going to give him a run for his money, even if Crawford and Romano can't get up towards the front of the field. I'm looking at, Tucker back in 11th, Hannigan in 10th, your heat race winner of Chris Flams in 12th, Jake Kasich in 6th, Brooks Clayton looked pretty quick in 4th, Darren Bai was fast the entire time, Aaron Thacker short in 2nd. I'll end up making my pick nice and easy. I'll say Brooks Clayton, but I think it's going to be somebody further back from 3rd. I don't think it's going to be like last week where the top 3 kind of sit there the whole time.
You never know. Could go either way, in all honesty. There's still a long way to go to see who will finish on top of racing action here on this Wednesday afternoon. We're going to get the chance to get to all of the nuances of what's in store for the main event in just a little while. For now, we are going to take ourselves with a real quick step back. We'll get through our opening ceremonies, and we will return in a few with the main event. Stick with us. We'll be back soon. Ten seconds are left before we will see drivers griding on up in full force on the starting grid. The Mid-Ohio No-No-Go-Go about to reach its peak in action. There's very little that is more intense than a standing start at a race like this. And we'll see what's in store for us here in the next 1 hour and who will find their way up on top. Taking a rundown then of how this race will pan on out. It's going to be a good drive for all involved, and starting on pole position this afternoon, it is going to be none other than Todd Madole alongside Aaron Thacker. Darren Bai was in 3rd with Clayton in 4th, Fleming in 5th, Kasich 6th, Wright 7th, Bueller 8th, Ronenberg 9th, and Chris Hannigan rounds out the top 10. From there, it's Austin Tucker and Chris Flams. They are the 12 drivers that found themselves on the down and out in this one. And moving down through the field, from there, you're going to have none other than Ron Wolf, Nate Brooker, Evan Campbell, Justin Hall, Ryan Verhulst, Josh Free, Jeremy Castro, and Tyler Carlton. Tyler Augustino, Ringo Harrison, Jason Lee, Greg Beckman, Antonio Alvarez, Ben Williams, Carson Catlin, Matthew Dupuis, Shane Cameron, Kyle Smith, Stephen Purcell, Adam Joseph Ilhot, Tyler Vietnam, Tanner Klein, David Elkin, Jordan Babcock, Blake Gamble, Giovanni Romano, Alex Cofford, and Corey Barrett close out the field.
Ooh, 40 car field here tonight from the Mid-Ohio Raceway. I'm telling you, it's gonna be a good race here. I should say Mid-Ohio Sports Car now. It's a little bit different of a name for the Mid-Ohio road course, but looking forward to see what Todd Madole can do after earning that flip. Right, we've been talking about how last week we saw Ron Wolf be able to get the flip, win the race. I don't think it's going to happen again, but hey, Todd Madole's got every opportunity to prove me wrong here tonight for Mid-Ohio. Let's see if he can stay up there and run a good defensive race.
Just waited on 4 to grid on up. Bright, Dupuis, Purcell, Cofford, and Beckman are the bunch that we're waiting on. Clayton has gridded on up, now waiting on Beckman and Purcell. Now just Purcell. He's got 10 seconds, or he will be starting his second feature this season from pit road. 4, 3, 2, 1. Stephen Purcell misses the call, and well, with that, it's time to get the party started once again. The revs build, the lights flick on. And it's go, go, go for the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Another good getaway from Tom Madole on the takeoff down towards turn number 1. Cuts off the run from Darren by side with Madole. Tom Madole gets a terrible launch. He misses the shift, Thackers into lead at the end of turn number 1. Now making his way up the straight towards the keyhole. It's going to be a huge break zone. Expect calamity here in turn number 2. Oh, contact as Clayton goes in deep. Clayton sends it to the number 2 spot. Some cars going 3 wide, and so far throughout the opening couple of corners, we are clean and green. 2 off the road out of turn 2.
Oh yeah, accident coming out of turn number 2. 2 cars parked up against the outside wall trying to get the ship righted, but Todd Madole, like you mentioned at first, it looked like he had a decent getaway, but I feel like he just hit the rev limiter or stayed on the chip for too long and was not able to get through the gears. Ended up losing a couple positions coming out of turn 2 as well. Kind of settled back into third, but it's a tough start for Todd Madole. You would expect starting on the pole, man, you got to at least come out of turn number 1 with the lead, but instead it's Aaron Thacker leading the way.
Aaron Thacker leading the way as we continue to fight our way through lap number 1 of this race. So far, other than that 2-car incident, a very, very clean start. All things considered, that was Nate Brooker and Chris Flams that both went off the road. This is what happened to them. Bit of a bottleneck up the road, and Flams just turns across the nose of Brooker, straightened out way too early, and they did keep it off the wall.
Yeah, Flams, this is the second week in a row, I think. Both races at the beginning of the season, Flams has gone off on lap number 1, so it hasn't been the start to the season that Chris Flams has really won it. I mean, he had a good heat race, right? I mean, he was able to win the heat race, starts in 12th for the main event, and instantly off the racetrack all the way to the back. So all those points that he made up in the heat race, well, they're basically completely gone. I mean, he's all the way at the back of the field. It's going to be so tough to be able to get back through in the top 15 again.
Several drivers still embroiled in side-by-side dogfights. There's Giovanni Romano already up 12 at the end of lap number 1. He is up to 26th now, and he is trying to make some moves. He just got around Catlin. He also got around Cofford critically. Cofford also cutting his way through. He is up 11.
But these guys, I said it was going to be a little bit more difficult this week than I thought it was last week for these guys to get through the field. Obviously, the first couple laps, everybody bunched up. Some cars going off the racetrack. They've been able to make up 11, 12 positions. But it's all about the next handful of laps. You know, whenever this field gets spread out, are they still going to have that same amount of pace, the same amount of ease to be able to get up to each car, put them down as quick as they catch them? So we'll have to wait and see with Romano and Cofford. And how hard do they fight each other? Do they cost each other a lot of time? But we'll focus on them a little bit later because the battle for the race lead is currently heating up. Thacker, Clayton, Madole, all under a blanket.
Yeah, Aaron Thacker losing out a lot of ground this lap. I think he might have stalled out on his pace, and now Brooks Clayton turning up the pressure in the Schnitzengigel number 9 entry as he makes his way to the front straightaway. Thacker continuing to go on a strong drive. 3 minutes in, 2 laps in, and already the fight for the lead is back on. Tom Badol looking for some redemption after a horrid race start.
Yeah, but trying to right the ship after starting on the pole for this main event. Just had a terrible start, but now he's back to the inside of Brooks Clayton coming out of turn number 2. Looking to take second place back, so Madole might have been terrible off the get-go, but he might be getting himself back up to second into the chicane as we're getting a look back at his start. You can see halfway decent, doesn't look terrible, hasn't lost the lead yet, but finally Thacker just gets through the gears better, and so does the 22 Darren Bai on the outside as well. I mean, Madole just about caught sleeping, it seemed like.
Might have just been a little bit down on the reaction time, and that's how much that can cost you early on. Now you got Flams and Darren Bai side by side as the end of the roller coaster section of the racetrack. Fleming and Bai still duking it out, still going side by side as we work through the S's and turns 4, 5, 6, 7. We are now up through 9 and entering Thunder Valley.
Oh, and not a lot of field spread from about 4th on back to the 12th place position. I mean, all these guys within 2 seconds, 8 cars, just nose to tail as we come through Sector 3 here on lap number 3 from Mid-Ohio. Fleming currently hanging on to that 4th place spot, but man, that back bumper is filled with Darren Bai, and then even further back, I mean, just a little 2x2 packs, and then still up towards the front, that 2nd place position. Madole's gotten it away from Clayton, so Madole fell back to 4th on that opening lap. He's taken 2 of those positions back, and now he's going to try to run down Aaron Thacker to try to get that race lead back away from him.
That's a big ask, though, right now, because Thacker, 1.4 seconds up the road. It's not going to be easy to run that down, especially with Brooks Clayton hounding him like that. Almost a bit of contact there down in turn number 2 at the keyhole. Diving back through this field, look at Eric Ronenberg trying to fend off Casey. Casey takes one round the outside, and now Bueller trying to put them under pressure as well.
Side by side coming down towards the chicane. Ronenberg down to the inside trying to take this position away, but he just did not drive it in there too deep. Casey gonna fly around the outside and try to give himself enough of a headway over the hill to be able to take the position, and he's gonna be able to do it on Ronenberg. Looking back at the 52. Oh, coming back onto the racetrack and taking out Gabriel coming out of turn number 1.
That was Dave Elkin that went around, and now Tyler Vietnam having it off at the back of the field. It was actually a really good race start, all things considered. Started to get some action now. Here's Tyler Augustino and Tyler Carlton. Battle of the Tylers up over the hill. We got 1.3 seconds up to Jeremy Castro up the road. This is a dogfight for 18.
Yeah, Augustino Carlton duking it out, coming out of the fast left-hander here. Trying to get down to the last sector of the racetrack, but it looks like that high leader car on the inside is going to be able to take a position. But no, the over-under coming back to the apex. What a move from the 69 of Tyler Augustino to get that one done. That was textbook.
Beautiful. Augustino baiting Carlton into that move. That was a phenomenal pass. And now look at this, 3 wide in a turn number 1. Contact, look out. Alvarez hard into the wall on the right-hand side. He's going to get it back rolling. Still 3 wide. He's forced off the track again. And now he's around and fully into the fence.
My goodness, so heartbreaking for Alvarez. He was, I mean, he's just stuck on the outside, gets shoved into the fence, and then just tries to have a halfway decent rejoin, and Romano doesn't really give him any room on the exit of the corner. And I mean, you can see the little rallycross jump that apparently we have through the grass here at Mid-Ohio. Nothing Alvarez could do. I mean, he just hit that big jump in the grass, and that car was sideways faster than he could even think. So tough break for Alvarez in his first race here. And kind of getting bullied a little bit from the rear league regulars.
Harrison, Beckman, Crawford, Romano, and Williams 3 wide, and now Romano getting put off the racetrack by Ben Williams. Almost they're able to get it underneath him. And this is for the spots down the field. It's a lot more chaotic back here than it is orderly, like the orderly runs up front.
Yeah, relatively orderly for the most part, especially, I mean, Thacker has started to kind of grow that lead, kind of surprising me, but Clayton a little bit too deep. We were talking about the orderliness at the front of the field, but Clayton just about drove himself right off the racetrack in the last couple of corners. Loses a little bit of time to Madole. Maybe that's that breathing room that Madole needs to be able to run down Thacker.
Kyle Smith off the racetrack, and oh boy, that looks like technical problems to me. Kyle Smith goes off the track, and he is going to remain off the track. So yeah, looking like that's it for him. Then this is what happened to Tyler Vietnam earlier on. This was coming up to turn 4. Has he had help? He got into flams, then looking like he just tried to redress that.
Well, Madole now cleanly into the second place position. Clayton 0.5 of a second back. Can Madole now run down Packers since he's got a little bit of a gap? Doesn't have the guy quite breathing down his neck as heavy as he had. A little bit further back, Kasich looking to the inside through the chicane. Close between him and Bueller. Still side by side as we come down into turn number 6. But Kasich a little bit better on the outside. No, he goes a little bit too hard, too deep down in there. Gonna lose a little bit of ground, and now Bueller gonna be able to take the spot through the double right. Had the inside groove, able to take the position. Hannigan looked like he was gonna look to the inside there to take the position to Kasich, but just was not able to put that nose in there. Was not quite close enough to the back bumper of the number 11.
This fight is going to be one that is going to be going on for a good long while. By the way, Code 60 window is officially open. We are able to, we're now able to get up to 2 Code 60 periods this race. The only question is where or if will they come into play?
Well, it's not Code 60 anymore. Remember, they changed the speed.
I still don't believe that because their rulebook doesn't say that.
Well, I'm going to wait to see for the caution to come out to see if it's still got the number changed, and then I'm going to wait to see their pace speed, and then we can make the call on that.
Checking back on Ryan Verhulst and Josh Freed. 14th and 15th place. They are going to get back single file, but less than a 10.5 between them as Freed tucks into the draft of Verhulst. And he thought about looking low, but with that lineman coming off, he's going to look high. No dice for him. There will be a move behind. Jason Lee trying to make one up on Castro.
Yeah, Lee down to the inside through 4. Wasn't able to get the move done. Now Shaky on the outside of 5, and he might end up losing a position. That was scary there for Jason Lee. Now diving it back up the inside of Carlton up on the curb. Both these guys side by side, but Carlton's going to take the spot.
Jason Lee, though, able to wrangle that car back under control, so not a bad run for him by any stretch of the means. He's able to get himself up and working, which is exactly what he needed to do if he wanted to keep himself secure. Now he's under fire, though, from one Giovanni Romano. No, sorry, that was Coffer that just got around him. Now he's under fire. Romano, and he's turned by Romano! Lee spins off the track at the carousel.
Jason Lee trying to fill the hole, but there just really wasn't a hole there for him to fill. Romano was filling it pretty quick. I felt like maybe Lee just pinched him ever so slightly too much. I don't really think that one was on Romano. Romano trying to come through, fill the gap. But ultimately, it's Jason Lee sent sideways off the racetrack. Didn't lose too many positions, but it's still a little bit worse than it would have been if he would have just given the spot to Romano.
On board is Ryan Verhulst as he tries to run down Josh Freed up the road. Now 2/10 between them. They do get a pretty big draft pull down the stretch here. Looking for the inside. Can't get close enough to commit.
Man, he is all over the back bumper coming down to turn number 4. Doing everything he can to try to make a move. Here Castro now side by side with Cofford. So, the 2 rear chasers coming up through the field relatively fast, man. Only 12 minutes into this thing. Cofford's into 19th. And it looks like Romano's going to be taking 20th away from Jeremy Castro any second now. Wasn't able to get to the inside there through that corner. Going to give Cofford some breathing space. Back on Scott Fleming.
Yep, this was the pass for third. Scott Fleming making the move on Brooks Clayton. How about that? Round the outside on the exit of the roller coaster section. That was a phenomenal overtake for him. And now another one, because here is Chris Hannigan fighting out with Jake Kasich side by side. And look at this, Austin Tucker thinking about 3, and all of a sudden offense turns to defense for Kasich.
Kasich getting passed by Hannigan, and now looks like he's going to lose another position here coming out of turn number 1. Still side by side with Austin Tucker. Kasich with a better run on the exit. Able to kind of get that nose out in front, coming down into turn number 2, squeezing them out to the outside of the racetrack before they come down. And late dive there from Kasich, trying to get the spot back from Chris Hannigan coming through turn 2. didn't think that there was anything in that, but Hannigan just slowed through the apex of the corner, giving Kasich another opportunity, and here comes Ron Wolf, last week's winner.
Could have gotten a little bit loose. It's easy to happen. We saw that happen all through qualifying. Wolf giving a huge shove to the back of Chris Hannigan as Hannigan sends it in deep into turn 4, trying to hang on to the spot. Kasich round the long way of 5, setting ourselves up for 6. Hannigan's through in 6, and Kasich will hang on as well. And now it's between Ron Wolf and Austin Tucker. Wolf hangs on to the spot, and something has happened to Nate Brooker.
Oh, Wolf just got spun. Ron Wolf just got spun around as soon as you cut the camera. Oh no, Wolf and I believe it was Justin Hall both taking each other out. It might have been Austin Tucker, both taking each other out coming through 7.
And wow, just a shot to the shorts from Tucker to Wolf sends them both off the track.
Yeah, I'm shocked. It's not typically a mistake you see from Austin Tucker, but I mean, like you said, he just hit him in the back end coming through the corner, and honestly, nothing Ron Wolf could do. I mean, maybe he had checked up right beforehand. Maybe he got a little loose, but
right there, tap the brakes.
You can see little brake check. He's just trying to fill the gap, and honestly, watching it from that onboard, I don't know if there was really much Tucker could have done.
Look at Tom Badul with an aggressive weave down the stretch, trying to fill Badul's mirrors and keep him gassed. Now where he's going to try to attack. Chris Bright now to the inside of Brooks Clayton, picks off another one. As we continue to see this battle escalate more and more, Thacker now pulling 3 seconds out. We might very well get one of those situations where somebody that got in on an invert just runs away with it.
Well, to be fair, Thacker got second, right? It's not like we're seeing quite the same as last week, but to your point, he is running away with it. 3-second lead that he's got over Todd Madole right now. I mean, that's a heck of a first 15 minutes from Aaron Thacker. Side by side, no, where's that Ronenberg getting sent into the barriers?
Hard hit right into the tires for Ronenberg. He's kind of caught at a very awkward angle now as he tries to reset. He'll back up over the crest and back into the fence again as he gets himself back rolling. But yeah, you're right, a huge hit for Ronenberg.
I don't know if that was him taking a little bit too much of the racetrack coming down into that little kink. We'll see coming out of turn number 6, widening. Yeah, honestly, I feel like Ronenberg was just widening out the exit a little bit too much, even with the car that he had to his left side there. Ultimately, just really tight racing between the two, a little bit of door contact, but unfortunately, just offset ever so slightly enough to where he got turned across the nose of the driver that was next to him, rather than it just being a little bit of door banging. But again, side by side, coming down into turn number 2, Darren Bai in that number 22 on the outside, trying to get that position away from Fleming using the outside of turn 2. Looks like he might have the run coming off the corner, but Bai just a little bit too tight on exit. They're going to stay even down the straight.
Dead even in the battle for the number 3 spot. Bai, Fleming, still side by side into turn number 4. We hit the braking zone. And Darren Bai thought he might have had it, but he pulled it a bit too deep. Fleming able to wrangle that spot around the outside. Can he dive it in for 6? No, Darren Bai secures 3rd.
Great run from Darren Bai so far. One of the better runs that we've seen from him in the beer league since we took over about 6 seasons ago, running up into the top 3. I don't know if we've gotten to interview Darren Bai yet in the beer league since we've been here. So heck of a run so far from the driver, the number 22. Still obviously about three-fourths of the race to go, but great start from the driver of 22.
15th and 16th, both still under a blanket as Campbell and Crawford having some contact as, boy, oh boy, Campbell getting into it a little bit here. Alex Harrison going to lose a couple of positions down to 20th place. Meanwhile, one car around the high side. That's Augustino trying to keep Romano at bay.
Yeah, Augustino, we saw him make a pretty crazy move earlier to pick up a spot, but here it's Romano diving down to the inside in turn number 1, taking the top 15 position away from Tyler Augustino, moving himself up to 15th. Crawford right in front of him in 14th. So both these guys that came from the back of the field doing a little bit better than I thought they were going to. I thought it would be a little bit more difficult here in Mid-Ohio for them to come through the field, but they're making pretty short work of the field so far, but they're still losing time to the race leader. Thacker's just got a lot of pace here.
Campbell, Romano, side by side. They're going to bump draft around Alex Crawford. Tried to at least. Coffer, though, still holding the inside, and can he secure 13? Oh, wow, easily. Now Romano makes the look to get around Campbell, send him a little deep into the corner. Now Romano looking for the inside. This is into turn 6, now through 7, up the hill to 8. Romano, look out, up on the curb. He's going to make a bit of door contact. Campbell pitches a bit in response. But a great battle here. Now Romano gets turned off the racetrack into the concrete.
Oh my goodness, Romano. Honestly, he gave plenty of room on the outside, but Campbell just pitched him coming over the exit. I talked about it earlier. You just don't quite know where that edge of the racetrack is whenever you're coming over the hill. You don't know quite how far you can push it to the exit. Well, the car on the outside, Campbell just honestly pinching Romano too tight coming over that crest.
Something going awry here for Matthew Dupuis as he goes for a slide. That is on the exit of turn 2, I want to say. He's getting himself sorted, and here comes Blake Gambrill, same place on the racetrack. And he just loses it all by himself.
Kind of a weird spot for Gamble to lose the back end there. Like you said, all by yourself, kind of towards the back. A little bit of a weird one for Gambrill, but not on board, but looking at Scott Fleming here, right on the back bumper of Darren Bailly. Ever since Bailly got past him, they just haven't separated, right? Both these guys just about even pace, and even with Todd Bedolla in front of him as well, I'm really shocked to see Aaron Thacker build out a 5-second lead in 20 minutes. I cannot believe, he finished in 11th place in the heat race. It's not like we thought that he had unbelievable pace, but he's absolutely showing that he does right now. Looks like the 52 in his beer league debut is not having the best one. David Elkin actually, I believe we might have seen David Elkin a couple times, but
yeah, we have.
Not a great race here for Mid-Ohio for David.
And he's called it quits as well, by the way. He has taken the tow once he got into pit road. He's done for the night.
Tough race for David, but 20 minutes in, if you're just not feeling the racetrack with the car combo, sometimes it's better to give it up and hit the showers a little bit earlier, get to bed, have a nice night's sleep before your work day tomorrow.
Trouble off the road, Tyler Vietnam and Blake Gambrill again. Oh,
goodness.
What was that?
I think Gambrill might be the next one to take a tow. Yep, there it is.
You're not happy with that one, evidently. Oh, that was Elkin, sorry. This is Tyler Vietnam. Find out what happened to Vietnam. Clipping the grass on the way in. That ain't the right way to do it. Spins it out, and then Blake Gambrill. Same deal, just off the track at conveniently at the same time, and he was done with it.
Yeah, Gambrill's been off the racetrack a good chunk tonight, right? So it's not too surprising to see him pull it in while it's tough break to see a couple of guys do it back to back, though. It's obviously, like I mentioned in the pre-race, though, it's a tough technical racetrack, very, very tough. A lot of blind corners, blind exits. Just kind of leads itself to being one of the more difficult racetracks, especially whenever you're all bunched up in a group like this. Just a couple incidents, maybe it's time to call it quits. You always hope to maybe get that code 60 to help you out.
No, we still might get it. We can get it any time from now until 15 minutes ago. Look at the lunge there as Augustino trying to get around Verhulst and might have him here in the carousel. Out of the final corner, Augustino cuts him off, and Augustino gets up to 13th.
Augustino's made some good moves here tonight. I know that he's not, the absolute quickest out here, only running in the 13th place spot. I know that he started a little bit further back, not all the way at the back, but, mid-pack or so for Augustino, starting 21st. He's got himself up to 13th, right? He's made some really, really daring moves, really interesting moves to watch from the broadcast booth. So I can't wait to see if Augustino can maybe get himself into the top 10. Still probably one more position behind him. He'll lose by the end of the night with Romano coming back through the field after that spin from earlier, as we see one car off the racetrack coming back on, able to get the all four tires back onto the tarmac. But we'll have to wait and see coming down to turn number 4 what Romano can do. I believe he's side by side with Austin Tucker for 20th, a little bit further back coming down to 4.
Yeah, Giovanni Romano playing on hard mode this afternoon as he got up near the front with Crawford, and now he's fallen all the way back. Honestly, he could probably be around the 12th place spot right now. with Alex Crawford if it hadn't been for what happened to him earlier on. Now we see him trying to claw his way back into the top 20. He has got a side-by-side battle between Tucker and Cameron up the road, and that's going to go right for Tucker. Tucker loose. Romano sneaks through.
A little bit further up, looking at Chris Hannigan running in the top 10, currently in the 7th place position. He's got 2 cars right in front of him doing battle. Chris Bright, Alexander Bueller going at it for the 5th place position. Last spot inside of the top 5. Bueller trying to get a good run out of turn number 1 to be able to give himself a chance down to the turn 2 with the draft, but don't think he's going to be close enough as we go back further back to Castro and Williams. Williams a little bit more narrow through turn 1, kind of straddling that curving on the inside, trying to find some speed at lower than anybody else has gone all night.
Come on, Topadol is off. The 2nd place runner off the road, and that is just shaking up this battle for 3rd on down.
What in the world has happened to Todd Madole just stopping the car
That looks
right
like
off of the
mechanical.
racing surface? Now side by side for the 2nd place position, Darren Bai, Scott Fleming, and 3 wide for 4th, right behind him as well. Who's going to come out of this okay? Chris Bright trying to back out from the middle. And Chris Hannigan almost off the racetrack. Looks like Darren Bai is going to take 2nd. Scott Fleming in 3rd. Brooks Clayton able to slide through into 4th. And Bueller's going to take that 5th place spot.
That was an aggressive battle there. A bit of bumper cars going on there. What happened to Madole? He is still off the racetrack, by the way, and yeah, that's mechanical. That is 100% some kind of system failure there for Madole. Probably had a screen go out.
Yeah, no chance. He just breaks in the middle. I mean,
he
if he's got his screen on, his wheel and pedals all on, no chance. He's just slamming on the brakes in the middle of the corner. Has every bit of the makings of a turned off screen or a wheel malfunction that slammed the brakes out of absolutely nowhere. So tough break for Madole, who was running up in 2nd. Basically throughout the entirety of this race. I know he had that mistake on lap number 1 from the pole, losing a couple of positions, but he did a good job recovering up to 2nd and just got bit by the bad luck.
Couple of incidents here. Adam Joseph Mailhot having a bit of a spin. This is up over the rise, enter the 3rd sector. Well, how about that? He actually caught it rather well. And then this is, that was Flams having a moment. This is Matthew Dupuis having a problem. Aaron Ronberg's in a pit road. We got pit stops started to kick off as well. We'll get to that in just a moment, but this is Dupuis.
We doing a little flick spin off the edge, getting the back end spun back around, losing a handful of seconds there off of that little bit of an incident. Looking at the Serial Team 6 car now, Chris Bright just inside of the top 5 in the 5th place position. As a couple guys starting to make their pit stops here with 34 minutes to go. Gonna be close to see if they can make it from here.
Williams, Campbell, Romano, 3 cars that are still fighting under a blanket here. We really started to see a lot of these battle packs stabilize. I think now we're going to be seeing pretty much everybody situated in these packs from here to the end, right? There's not a lot to say about what's going on at this point.
Yeah, mostly single file through the field. A couple guys still making moves. Romano and Campbell, these 2 got into it earlier, coming over that crest that we just saw move. Sending Romano back through the field a little bit. Going to be interesting to see how aggressive will Romano be with Campbell, knowing that he was the one that cost him a whole heck of a lot of time and could cost him a shot at winning this thing, because the guy that he was fighting, Alex Crawford, getting himself into the top 10 and now looking for 9th on the inside of Josh Freed, just sending it down to the apex faster than Freed could and taking that position away from him.
Solid move there for Crawford. He is now well up into the top 10, into the 9th place spot behind. There's Romano still within view on the same straightaway. He's got Campbell, he's got Tucker behind, and Campbell lets Romano through, and Tucker takes full advantage of that. Oh boy, kind of pinching Campbell out to the right, but is able to force the issue.
Campbell trying to get back up to the back bumper of Austin Tucker here, give himself another opportunity. Romano able to pick up a couple positions in the last couple corners, get himself back up to 16th place, but again, just so far behind Crawford, the guy that he had been fighting coming through the field, 8 seconds off of Alex Crawford, whenever they've been about equal the entire night. It's going to be tough for Romano to make that up, but back towards the front of the field, Darren Bai in the 2nd place position, hanging on to it from Bueller, but Bueller looking down to the inside, trying to take it as we head to sector 3.
That's a bold place to make a move happen, but if there's anybody that can make it work, it's these guys that are running clean at the front. Bueller is through, easily picks off the spot for 2nd without much of an issue. It's easy to forget that Bueller and Bai are actually in second because this is Thacker in the lead 10 seconds, well, 11 seconds now. He's just on a Sunday drive. He's playing with cheat codes, you could say.
What the hell has Aaron Thacker found in this main event?
I have no idea.
He was 11th. He was 11th in the heat race. You know,
I
I mean,
know.
it's not like he was poor in the heat. You know, 11th place isn't bad, but it's not what you would expect to be race-winning pace.
It's definitely
at least-
not where his qualifying pace was.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, to pull 11 seconds on the field, I mean, that's
I want to point
ridiculous
out,
from Aaron Thacker.
oh, trouble behind. Scott Fleming has gone around to the back of the field. I do want to point out, he is lapping about 2 to 3 tenths of a second a lap quicker than everybody else in this field. And from about 5th on back, it's over half a second a lap that he's pulling right now.
Man, I mean, he's still running a second slower than what his qualifying time was, but, you know, it's consistent that he's running that slow. And actually, you know, 3 laps ago,
Ooh.
he actually ran faster than his qualifying time. That's why he's been able to move ahead of the field so quickly. There's actually been, heck, 5-6 lap times out of the 10 laps that he has ran tonight that have been either faster or within 1/10 of his qualifying lap time. That's why he has been able to pull out this lead to 10.5 seconds.
Scott Fleming had a little bit of help when he went around to the keyhole. And a lot of this battle here is now being split up as Alexander Bueller started to pull more of a gap out of this pack here. 30 seconds away. We're at the halfway point now. 30 minutes down, 30 minutes to go, and Tyler Argostino is in a pit road.
As Tyler Agostino comes in, I gotta say, I was actually looking at Aaron Thacker's heat race lap times. His main event lap times are even more impressive, Nolan. I mean, this is ridiculous what I'm seeing. We ran 19 laps in the main event so far, as we see a couple other guys come down pit road. One guy playing with the tire barriers coming over the the crest of turn 9 in Thunder Valley.
So this is Brooker, Carson Catlin behind. Brooker slides it by himself, and Catlin, ooh, I think gave him a little tap, but could have been worse.
But I'm going to go back to Aaron Thacker. His qualifying time was a 1:32.356. All right, that was good enough to put him 15th in qualifying. Going back his last 10 laps, he has run faster than that on 8 of them, and the 2 that he didn't run faster than that, he was only half a tenth off of that qualifying lap time. So, I mean, just unbelievably consistent from Aaron Thacker. I mean, obviously he's got the clean air. You know, if there's one guy that's going to be the most consistent, it's probably going to be the guy that's in clean air, but not this consistent. Lap after lap. I mean, it's a 32 flat, then it's a 32.3, then it's a 32.2.
We got big problems coming up over the hill. Chris Hannigan kind of getting bottled up, and now there's a huge pack, 3x3, as we work our way down and towards the third and final sector of the racetrack.
Hannigan, a bit of an issue through Thunder Valley, losing a couple of positions, but here's our race leader, Aaron Thacker, coming down pit road. So is Alexander Bueller, Darren Bai, Brooks Clayton, Chris Bright, Jake Kasich, Alex Coffer, just about the entire lead pack coming down pit road here with 28.5 minutes to go.
And now a good chunk of the second pack is in as well. So far, only the top 5 have stayed out under this under this period of race. No code 60. This is just the pit stop window. Hey, you can make it past halfway. Pit now. You're good to go the distance. No need to worry about fuel.
Yeah, absolutely. You know that if you can make it 32 minutes on the first stint, you ain't got to worry about anything. Darren Bai just about coming out side by side with a couple guys having to get out of the throttle there is the number 22. Going to lose a little bit of time down the straightaway as well. But looking back out on the racetrack, Romano, Freed, Campbell, Fleming, Barrett still out on the racetrack, have not come down pit road. I think they're maybe hoping for a code 60 this lap so that it's almost like a virtual safety car in the F1 races where you can come down to the very end and everybody else is kind of slowing up.
Chris Hannigan, whoa, boy, heads up, Hannigan sliding out the tail end, and this was the incident up over the hill. That is, he's gonna, oh, no. Oh, there was another crash actually coming up over the rise. That was Carlton that had issues.
I thought that was going to be a bad rejoin from Hannigan, but because everybody started wrecking each other behind Hannigan, it ended up being a pretty decent rejoin to where he didn't lose too many spots.
Probably saved him.
Yeah, it absolutely did. Saved him a handful of positions. He still lost about 2 or 3 out of that pack, but that entire pack could have gone right by him if they didn't have to slow down for each other.
Freed, Campbell, Fleming, Barrett into pit road. Giovanni Romano continuing to stay out. Now another couple off the road. Hannigan again, this time with Castro.
Oh, Hannigan hates turn 9, that's for sure.
Okay, admittedly that's not Hannigan's fault there.
Yeah, I think Castro might have pinched him a little bit on the apex, coming through 9 on that one. I couldn't quite tell if Hannigan came off the apex, but he looked like he was nice and tidy down on the inside. So I think Castro might have just pitched him ever so slightly more than he needed to, but tight racing between the two. Unfortunately, both of them off of the racetrack. But still, only one guy yet to pit. Giovanni Romano stretching this fuel longer than I thought was possible. Look at all the marbles on the outside too. Oh my goodness, don't go offline through there.
Well, Austin, we've got ourselves a good long race here. A lot of green flag running. Let's take a run down top to bottom and kind of reset on where things are looking right now. We'll start it off with, of course, the race leader, Giovanni Romano, now leading the way. He has not come down to pit road as of yet. Respect to him in this lap. Eric Thacker is set to be the race leader, with Bueller currently in third. Then you got Casey in fourth, Clayton in fifth, Coffer by Bright, Augustino, and Freed for the top 10. Romano is in a pit road.
Looking back at the 11th place position, Austin Tucker currently running there. Eric Ronenberg, who's had a couple of issues, running back in 12th. Ron Wolf, last week's winner, who's been spun out once tonight, back in 13th. Evan Campbell, who spun out Giovanni Romano earlier tonight, currently running in the 14th place position. Tyler Carlton in 15th. Ben Williams has been sent around a couple times. He's done a good job recovering up to 16th. We've seen Scott Fleming backward in 17th. Alvarez has been backwards in 18th. I swear Shane Cameron's ranked 4 times, and he's somehow in 19th. Ryan Burkholz rounds out the top 20.
Top half of the field is complete. Now we move back to Justin Hall in 21st, with Corey Barrett in 22nd, Harrison 23rd, Chris Hannigan back in 24th, Jason Lee 25th, Chris Flams in 26th. Right now, Flams down 14 spots. It's not been an ideal race for Flams. Beckman back to 27th, Male Hawks 28th, Castro down 10 to 29th, with Tyler Veenan up 3 in 30th.
Nate Brooker currently running in the 31st place position. I swear he's got overtaken tonight, but it's just gone sour ever since then. Then in 32nd, Matthew Dupuis. 33rd looks to be Carson Catlin. Todd Madole running in the 34th place position after running in second just about all night long, but having some type of hardware issue coming out of turn 2 earlier, causing a huge stack up. Back in 35th, we got Tanner Klein, and then back in 36th is Jordan Babcock. Kyle Smith currently running in the 37th place position, a handful of laps off of the pace. And then we got Blake Gambrill off the racetrack in 38th. David Elkin also in pit road in 39th. And in 40th, Stephen Purcell did not start.
So far, you've got yourself 35 cars still on the lead lap, and 37 that are still, goodness, I can't count, I promise. 35 on the lead lap, 37 that are running. Got a couple of cars going off the road, one of those being Eric Ronenberg, another one being Evan Campbell, and now Tom Madola's had issues as well. Let's take a look at what happened to Evan Campbell first and foremost here. Oh, getting into it big time, hard into the fence. Violent hit for Hannigan. Sorry, for Campbell. Oh, there was Chris Hannigan, though, as he actually got caught out by this, swung that one out to the left and was forced into China Beach as a result. And this was what happened to Ronenberg. Completely separate incident up over the hill.
Down in Thunder Valley, you can see that back end just stepping out, maybe a little bit too heavy on the wheel input there, just ever so slightly tapping the brakes. You can just see that back end step around poorly there for Ronenberg. Here, Madole just driving it off the racetrack, taking a little bit more than he could chew, driving it in there too deep.
And he is going to take the tow back to pit road as a result. So we're now well past the halfway point. Alex Cofford is in third, Clayton fourth, Kasich back in fifth. Any sign of a Code 60 yet here, Austin?
Nothing.
Could this be the race of the season that goes caution-free?
Well, to be fair, we're only 2 races in. If we've already got a caution-free race only in the second race into this thing, I mean, that's relatively low odds for that, right? Caution-free race percentage is only, what, 12.5%?
Yeah.
So you're looking at probably about 19, 20%.
Oh, contact! Alvarez off the track again.
Oh, poor Alvarez. Another incident where I couldn't quite tell. I was looking at my other screen, but I feel like that wasn't his fault. Hannigan, though, unable to get on the brakes in time as Alvarez rejoined the racetrack, and now Hannigan way off, looking like he's trying to find a marshal off behind the barrier.
Yeah, and that was not pretty. This is on board with the car behind Alvarez, and a bit of a hit there from Fleming, if I'm being honest, and that's what sent Alvarez around. Then Alvarez rejoined, and he comes up, makes a bit of contact with one car, then Hannigan was already getting loose over the hill and nearly ran into the back of him.
I feel like that was more of a reaction from Hannigan trying not to run over the car that rejoined.
Oh, look out. Look, that's not going to go well. That's not going to end well.
Oh, Jason Lee stuck on the outside. Somehow these guys able to get into the corner A-okay. I thought for sure we were going to see 3 cars driving off the exit of the racetrack. Still side by side coming out of the corner, though. Jason Lee able to keep it on. McMahon, him and Flames going at it for 19. Excuse me, 20.
Almost 2/3 of the way through this race as racing action is showing no signs of slowing down yet. Coming up later in the week on Green Flag TV, only one race remains, and it's on Saturday night. The SRA IL Truck Series swings out to Atlanta Motor Speedway for the Hampton, Georgia 200. And then next week, the High Time Racing League MF Racing Designs Cup Premier Series kicks off postseason. First race in the round of 12, kicking off at the Auto Club Speedway with the Ole Miss Rail Cup Series going out for their Western Swing. They'll be out in Avondale, Arizona, for the Phoenix Raceway for round number 3 of the Tuesday Night Championship. For those that are curious about the ASRO Next Gen Cup Series or the Speed Cup Series, they will both be kicking off early in February.
Tight here, 3 wide through the last sector. That doesn't work too often at Mid-Ohio. Somehow they're going to get it worked out, though. Chris Flames not able to get that position, but I got to point out, over this course of the last lap, a couple of pretty quick guys have had some internet issues. 2 quick ones getting kicked out of the server. Austin Tucker, Giovanni Romano.
Oh, boy.
Both out of the server with packet loss issues.
Wow, that is not pleasant. That's a bit of a shocker, honestly.
Yeah, we don't typically see Tucker and Romano lagging out of these things, but obviously something went awry. Both of them lagging out at just about the same exact time. I wonder if they've got the same provider.
Justin Hall, Chris Flames, side by side into turn 4. Jason Lee right behind him. Lee now trying to get in on the mix as he's going to look for the inside, or the inside turned outside, and that was not going to pan out for the number 8.
Not quite going to be able to pan out for Jason Lee. Not able to get the position. Coming down to less than 20 minutes to go. Only 4 minutes left on the caution clock. It's looking like we're not going to be getting it, but man, I'll tell you what we are getting. A whole host of black flags. 4 drivers just getting the black flag. Justin Hall, Eric Ronenberg, Matthew Dupuy, Ryan Burholst.
Whoa,
having
look
to take a
out.
pit stop is Justin Hall. I think I see why he has black flag.
What in the world?
Jason Lee having to get checked up. Corey Barrett, what in the world? All running into the back of Justin Hall.
What happened there? Tyler Vietnin now off the road as well, further behind. What a weird incident there with Jason Lee. I'm not sure what that was all about.
Well, weird moment, you know, Hall's coming back onto the racetrack. I just feel like Lee almost didn't quite know what to do with Hall being kind of slow on the racing groove. And it just kind of stacked everybody up behind him. I'm playing a little bit of bumper cars here with them being side by side now for the 19th place spot. Corey Barrett, guy closest to Evan Campbell got closest to your screen there as they were going by. Trying to get clear before they get down to turn number 4, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen. Actually, never mind. I'll take it back. It looks like the position was given to him. Campbell able to go through, and Ronenberg also able to take the spot away from the 751 of Ringo Harrison.
Oh, contact there between Verhulst and Flames, who are on board with Verhulst at the moment of contact. And now Lee is around. Jason Lee has been spun.
Coming up through the chicane through 4 and 5, right behind Corey Barrett. Down the hill, Jason Lee looking like maybe he's just trying to make a move, set himself up for a move, gets into the back bumper of Barrett, carrying too much speed through the through the apex of the corner, and the back end just steps around on him after the bit of contact. It's a break for Lee, losing a little bit more ground as we see Harrison on the outside here of the number 42. Trying to pick up the spot, coming back onto the front straight away. Still stuck in the side-by-side battle. Ringo going to be able to have the position at the line there. Greg Beckman coming back on the outside, though, trying to do what he can to take the spot back a little bit further up. Another side-by-side battle coming down into turn number 2. Chris Flams on the outside trying to rip it around. Ryan Verhulst in that number 12, but Verhulst just with a better run through the center of the corner. He's going to clear himself on exit. What a good move from Verhulst, but off the racetrack. Going to give the inside back to Flams.
Chris Flams able to just hang on for now, but Ryan Verhulst not wanting to be denied. He's going to try to do everything he can. We've had a few cars going off the road. We'll get to that in just a moment. For now, oh boy, Verhulst able to avoid the 137. That will end that battle. This is what happened to Evan Campbell. This is a weird one. He went off the track several times this lap.
Exit of turn number 1, just too wide, getting some dirt on. Oh, and again, that rallycross jump that we've seen. We saw take out Alvarez earlier.
So this explains all the off and ons, because every off and on is when he crosses over that tarmac, because it counts as racetrack.
Yeah, that'll do it for you.
I was wondering, he went off track like 4 times in 30 seconds. What's happening here?
Well, there's still probably another 1 or 2 in there somewhere, I imagine, but nonetheless, he ended up getting it back on the tarmac. Gonna see if he can get a halfway decent finish. Even though we've seen him off the racetrack a handful of times. But I gotta point out, you know, we were talking about, man, Aaron Thacker. Look at that 10.5-second lead that Aaron Thacker's built up. Well, it's down to 4.5. I know 4.5 is still a pretty daggum good lead, but whenever you take into account that Bueller's chopped 6 seconds out of it in the last 20 minutes, you think, well, Bueller might be able to get there.
Look at the gaps as well. 0.4 of a second, 0.7 of a second, another half a second, and then 0.8 the last lap alone. That is a monumental gap. At this rate, he is going to catch him by the end of the race.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the pace to be able to do it. And we see Thacker stuck in a little bit of lap traffic. He's got some lap cars that he's going to have to get around over the course of the next couple laps, and that could prove to be pretty difficult. One of them getting out of the way here, but still costing him a bit of time. Dupuis didn't make it super easy on him coming down to the last sector, kind of making Thacker go offline. Gonna cost him a little bit more time. That gap's down to 4 coming down the front straight.
I want to know where he's actually gaining this time from. I'm going to see if I can actually find something for that. I want to see like exactly what sectors he's gaining this time, because that is astronomical to close that in on that like that quickly.
Exactly. I mean, it felt like it took time for Thacker to build that 10.5-second lead. I don't feel like any time has gone by since that 10.5-second lead, and all of a sudden it's down to 3.8. Like, I mean, Alex Bueller is freaking flying, man. I mean, he has got the fastest lap times in the field by far right now. And even then, Crawford in third, 9 seconds back, he's running about equal with Bueller. If Bueller and Thacker get to battling, they could very well bring Crawford into this fight as well. And I got to point out, we're a minute past the caution window closing, so we are getting our first caution-free window, or caution-free race of the beer league season.
So 10th and a half there for Bueller gained in Sector 1. It's up to 2/10 gained in Sector 2. Still tracking down low, waiting for Sector 3 to flash up, which should be coming into the next corner here through Thunder Valley. There's 3. What's the gap?
Slower here.
Lost to 10th. Interesting. So lost to 10th in Sector 3.
Oh, he looks good through that last corner. Well, I say that. Bueller ends up having a really good... Thacker had a really good exit out of that corner. I think Bueller did better getting into the corner, but maybe just a little bit too good. He's going to lose another 2/10 coming through Sector 4. So finally, Thacker putting down a better lap than Bueller. That's the first time in what feels like about 10 laps that's happened.
Could have been lap traffic that was disrupting him there.
Maybe a little bit. I mean, lap traffic, there's a lot of give and take with it. Some laps it helps you, some laps it hurts you. So we'll just kind of have to wait and see. Can Bueller get that consistency back? Can he actually run down Thacker? Excuse me.
Fights on for 4th. Brooks Quayton to the inside of Jake Kasich. Sorry, no, it is Brooks Quayton to the inside of Jake Kasich, and Chris Bright is right behind. Bright with a big jump of overspeed. trying to make up a spot to get into the top 5. This here is the battle for 4th on down.
Yeah, Chris Bright, I said he was about a 6 to 12th place driver earlier in the day. He's trying to prove me wrong by doing it one better, getting himself up to the 5th place position. Currently running in 6th, about where I predicted he would be. Can he get that one more spot on Brooks Clayton or Jake Kasich? All these guys under a blanket for the 4th place position. And you can't count out Darren Bai or Tyler Agostino. How about Agostino, man? Started 21st, got himself up to 8th, and we've seen him make a couple of great moves here tonight. Don't count him out for that 4th place spot.
Right now, biggest mover is any surprise, but who is in 3rd place right now with the Flying Donut Motorsports driver of Alex Crawford. Once again, on fire. He's had to work for it, though, and he had to make a lot of that up through pit stops. He kind of stalled around the 13th place spot for a good while there.
Yeah, Crawford had stalled out. Obviously, there had been a little bit of a gap between a handful of cars out on the racetrack, so it just took him some time to be able to run a few of these guys down. But once he was able to kind of get himself into the clean air after passing most of the group, he's been consistently faster than Bueller, consistently faster than Thacker. It's just, does he have enough time? I mean, he's going to have to gain 1 second every single minute just about for the rest of this race, probably about 8/10 every single minute. That's asking a lot. Even for somebody like Alex Crawford, that's a lot of time that he's got to make up on Thacker. I think it can happen if the 816 and the 58 get side by side, get to racing. But if Bueller doesn't catch Thacker, I don't see it happening. But hey, Bueller is running him down again. We were talking about how it kind of stabilized at that 4-second gap about a lap ago. Well, Bueller's cut another half-tenth or half of a second off of your race leader's lead right now.
Bueller has only won a single race in his beer league career in over 40 starts. It came from the Touring Car Series a little while ago. For your race leader, though, Aaron Thacker, in 37 starts, he is still winless and looking to go for win number 1 this afternoon. The closest he came was, of course, Le Mans for the SCCA Spec Racer Fords, and perhaps even closer, Canadian Tire Motorsports Park just last week. Was so close to getting a win, it was taken away from him and denied. He has never got to the league in any racing league that he is running, so he is desperate to try and get that race win. He only has 4 podiums to his name. He's trying to go for a 5th podium and trying to make this one the week he finally takes his first race win.
Yeah, last week, right, Aaron Thacker ran in 2nd just about the entire race, swapping that position back and forth with 2nd, 3rd, 4th, kind of just sitting in that area. Brooks Clayton off the racetrack, trying to get it back on, going to give the position to Chris Bright up into the top 5, and be side-by-side with Darren Bai now for 6th place. Going to be tough to see if Brooks can get those tires shaking back off, but looks like he's going to be able to hang on to the 6th place spot. But going back to Thacker, last week he took that race lead away with about 5 minutes left, and we thought that was it. That the race was done and dusted because it had been so hard to pass the entire time. But then his teammate, Ron Wolf, got him right back 2 laps later. Here, is it going to be similar heartbreak for Aaron Thacker? I mean, he built this gap up to 10.5 seconds, but coming down to under 9 minutes to go, and that gap is down all the way to under 2.5.
I don't know. I mean, it could go either way. I'm really rooting for Thacker here, though. I mean, you gotta root for the little guy in this situation. There's been a lot of race winners in the beer league. Thacker is not one of them. He is trying to put himself into that list, and he's got to really fight like a lion these last few laps if he wants to do that. Right now, 8.5 minutes, about 1.5 minutes a lap. I think he'd be catching him right now. If he closed in half a second a lap, he'd be closing in with about 2 to go.
Well, the thing is, we still got 6 laps to go. So, there's plenty of time. There's plenty of time for Bueller to get here. And it's hovering anywhere between 3/10 to 8/10 that he's been gaining on him over the last 10 laps or so. I mean, if he has a couple of those 8/10 gainer laps, it's over. He only needs 3 of those, and he's to Thacker. He's got 6 laps left. If I'm Thacker, I'm shaking in my boots right now. It might be the 2nd week in a row that we could see some Thacker heartbreak.
That would be so frustrating for him, right? I mean, you heard him right. He didn't sound too happy with the 2nd place finish. I mean, 2nd place is good, but when your first win was right there It's gotta be gnawing on him, knowing how close he was to victory and how much it has been stolen away. He's come close a few times. Again, remember Le Mans. That race came down to fuel mileage, and he managed to outlast a good chunk of this field to get a win. Other podium finishes that he has had within the beer league. You look in particular to one of the first seasons we ever ran with this league, with Ford Mustangs. Finished third at Long Beach, a third at Homestead in the late model stocks, and that is it. His best finishes have been in the late model stocks and in the Mustangs. He has not had much luck outside of that. He is desperate for something to change.
That's a bad lap. 6.5 tenths. That's really bad there from Thacker, giving up a ton of ground to Bueller. And, you know, like you mentioned, as we check out the side-by-side battle, Ronenberg around the outside through the chicanes, we've talked to Aaron Thacker almost weekly, it's felt like at times. He's gotten a ton of podiums. He's gotten probably double-digit podiums since we've started.
He has 4.
Broadcasting. Okay, it feels like a whole lot more than that.
He has 4 podiums, and 2 of them were in the last 2 seasons.
There must have been a couple of amateur or AM class winner interviews.
Oh, absolutely. There's been plenty of AM class wins.
Okay. There's been more than 4 interviews for sure. That's what's throwing me off. But he's been quick, right? He's been a consistent top 5 driver. Tonight, it looked like he was the man to beat. But the gap is down to under 1.5 seconds. What is going on behind the wheel of the 816? I mean, did he just not fill this thing with enough fuel? Is he having a fuel save? I just can't believe that there would be any other reason why he'd be giving up this much time.
He pitted on the same lap as Thacker, same lap as Crawford. In fact, same lap as pretty much half the field. So I don't think it's fuel. Unless he short-fielded the car, but that doesn't make sense because his pit stop was only about 3/10 off of everybody else. Oh, trouble behind. A couple of cars went off, Mailhawk and Verhulst.
These guys off the racetrack, gonna try to find a way back on. Looks like they're gonna find a good gap to be able to do it. As we get a replay to see what happened as we're coming down in the last 5 minutes of this one.
What was that?
What in
Did
world?
Dupuis take him out?
Can we watch that again?
I really hope that's not what I thought it was. There's going to be some problems if it was.
I don't think it was Dupuis.
It wasn't. You're right. It was Verhulst. My bad. Here we go. On board with Ringo Harrison. No, got loose. He got loose. Okay.
Verhulst got loose, and then Ringo hit the grass with the left rear and just about did the same thing. But here, at the beginning of this lap so far, Thacker's actually gained 0.2 on Bueller. He's been giving up a good chunk of time. It was down to 1.2 at the beginning of this lap. It's back up to 1.5. So has Bueller made a mistake at the beginning of this lap, or is Thacker starting to kick it back into high gear, right? Has Thacker just been managing this gap the whole time? Has he just been playing with us up in the broadcast booth, or is he really struggling? That gap's back up to 1.6, so he's looking halfway decent right now.
He might be managing it. He doesn't want to be pushing full chat, right? Because that's a great way to send yourself off the racetrack and be in an even worse situation. So I might be just trying to manage it. Try to figure out where he's good and where he needs to back off a little bit. Pushing where he knows he is confident and then easing off a bit more in places where it's not so much.
Free to go. And, you know, I could definitely see that being the case, right? It's a very standard strat. You build up a great, sizable lead. You just start driving beneath your means ever so slightly to make sure you don't wreck it. But you don't want to be running 7/10 slower than the guy in second, right? They're going to catch you pretty quick, even if you got a 10-second lead. So just maybe giving up a little bit too much if that was his goal. It's kind of stabilizing in that 1.2 to 1.5 second range though now. So Thacker's obviously found something in the last lap or two to be able to keep this gap stable, but with 2.5 laps to go, the gap only 1.3. Bueller is absolutely there, and he's got a chance.
Oh, Hall off the racetrack as he'll spit it out.
As Hall backs it back up and comes back on the racetrack, a little bit of a squirrely moment there. Worried about Justin Hall coming back on the racetrack, but big shout out to Crawford getting up to third. Going to end up being a decent podium for him, or a really good podium coming from the back. Jake Kasich hanging on to fourth. Chris Bright doing a great job hanging on to fifth, right? Top 5 for Chris Bright currently with 2.5 laps to go. See if he can hang on to that with Brooks Clayton and Tyler Agostino not too far behind. That battle is not locked up yet. Honestly, anything from
from 4th on back to 7th could change hands. All these guys still under blanket. Oh man,
good
Ron Wolf, last week's winner, head on into the barrier.
That was a violent hit that he took into the fence, too, right into the concrete.
Man, they need to extend that tire barrier. I hope it's not like that in real life.
It is.
That's that would
Well,
hurt.
it might not be. This is an old scan.
Yeah, that's a fair point. We need an updated Mid-Ohio Sports Car
Okay,
Complex.
to be fair, that is a very, very low-speed corner as well.
Yeah, that's true. That's fair. Most cars are built to crush well enough these days too. Might not be too bad, but still, man, you expect tire barriers to be just about everywhere. But hey, that battle for the lead, 9/10 of a second, 2 laps to go, and Bueller is in the draft down the straight.
But the draft can only do so much, and there's a bit of a curve in the straight, which does help to break that draft just a little bit. Oh, got one car off the racetrack behind. Chris Bright losing 2. He'll lose Clayton, he'll lose Augustino. 3-way fight still on for the last spot inside the top 5, but right now it is eyes on the leaders. 90 seconds to go, and Thacker, again, can sniff this race win. He's just got to run a clean last 2 laps, and he should have this one in hand.
I know we're supposed to stay unbiased as commentators, but man, I'm really pulling for Aaron Thacker to close this thing out. I mean, he's just run such a good race, but he's wide. He's wide through Thunder Valley, through turn 9, and now the gap's down to half a second. I mean, this is a 10.5-second gap that has been absolutely erased, and he's missed another apex. Thacker is feeling the pressure. It's all over him.
He's making mistakes. You cannot make those mistakes. This is critical right now. Thacker, you gotta lock in, man. 1 lap to go. Bueller is there. It's a party for the lead.
Oh, coming down to turn number 1. Can Aaron Thacker hang on? The gap is gone. All that 10.5 seconds that he built up has completely been wiped off the board. Alex Bueller has done a hell of a job running him down this entire time. And don't count out the 3rd guy on your screen either. Alex Coffer, 4 seconds back. Yeah, too far back to do anything if these guys stay clean, but if these guys get together, Coffer could be right there to pick up the scraps. Now, down the straightaway for the last time tonight, Bueller firmly within the slipstream. How far does that gap close down before we get down to turn 4?
He has got to do something. He has got to do anything to keep this car behind him. This is going to be an absolutely treacherous drive from him. He is struggling right now. Bueller is there. Bueller trying to go for a repeat win. Thacker still trying to hang on for the lead of this race. Half a second. Bueller can't close.
Oh, a little bit better of a corner there from Thacker. Bueller almost looked like he didn't know what he wanted to do. Kind of went for the move, but didn't really commit with the brakes and just did not get the exit he needed. But coming up to the last sector, he's closing it back down 0.3 of a second to the last couple of corners.
Aaron Thacker, Alexander Bueller, all going at it, trying to scrap it out, see who's going to take home the win. 2 more corners. Thacker, it's been 37 starts, 38, trying to go for win number 1. Bueller's there, but Thacker hangs on. Thacker wins his first Beer League race by the smallest of margins, hangs on, and this is a feel-good day for the 816.
Oh my goodness, I thought Bueller was going to go for the bump and run. He raced him clean, he raced him respectfully, but man, he still had a chance coming out of that last corner. If that start-finish line is down towards turn number 1, this might be a different story, but it was just not meant to be for Bueller. How about Aaron Thacker hanging on whenever we thought that he was just laying down and giving it up? Aaron Thacker able to get his first win in Beer League history.
And now we see the rest of the field coming across the line. What a wild drive we had this afternoon. Some drivers are pushing others to the stripe. I think Flams might have been out of fuel there coming to the stripe, and he was able to get pushed across by one driver behind him. But, oh boy, what a ride. What an awesome moment here for Thacker.
I didn't expect to get that good of a finish whenever we saw Thacker get up to a 10.5-second lead. But Bueller did us a service, making that a close one.
Still got a few more cars coming to the stripe. I want to find out what happened to the 137, honestly, on that final lap there. That was a bit of a weird moment, and more so just out of sheer curiosity what happened to Chris Flams. He was pushed across by Corey Barrett. And, well, there's Flams here. We'll move this up a little bit more. This is a little ways back, so this is Flams.
final sector. He's already out of gas. You can tell.
Yeah,
Just
out of gas.
A little slow already, going down to the inside, letting people go. Almost looked like Tucker was going to get behind him and push him. Yeah, it looks like
He is.
Yeah, it looks like he still helping him out.
Well,
Well, Flames look like he's under power. Maybe he had to
oh,
slow
right
down.
there, right there. He was clutching, coasting. Then Tucker pushed him clean. Good sportsmanship there from Tucker. I like that.
But Tucker got beat by the beat at the line because of it.
Well,
Tucker ends up losing
remember,
a position.
remember though that Tucker was laps down because he had dropped out of the session, so he didn't lose anything by doing that. But good sportsmanship regardless for that.
Maybe a little bit of teamwork. I think they're on the same team, so little bit of intelligent teamwork there.
Well, all of that will take us to the end of a wild race, and Thacker can finally celebrate as he takes his first win of his beer league career. 38 starts, and finally a notch in the win column. Bueller was in second, Coffin in third, Kasich fourth, Plates in fifth. From there, it was Augustino, Bright, Freed, and Carlton for the top 10.
Finishing in the 11th place spot, Ben Williams. Great recovery from Ben. We saw him backwards multiple times tonight. Scott Fleming doing a good job coming back to 12th also. Shane Cameron 13th. Ron Wolf in the 14th place spot. Antonio Alvarez in his first race in beer league competition, finishing in 15th. Chris Flam 16th. Corey Barrett 17th. Greg Beckman in 18th. Evan Campbell 19th. And Eric Ronenberg rounds out the top 20.
Moving down through this field down to the tail end of things, it was another wild ride for the back half as well. With that, Joseph Elhart in 21st, Lee was 22nd, Castro 23rd, Harrison 24th. There, it was Verhulst, Hall, Brooker, Klein, Vietnam, Romano, for the top 30. And, 27th on down, did not finish on the lead lap.
31st was Austin Tucker, 32nd, Jordan Babcock, Matthew Dupuy in 33rd, Kyle Smith, Carson Catlin rounds out the top 35, Chris Hannigan at 36, Tom Nadol 37th, Blake Gamble 38th, David Elkin 39th, and Stephen Purcell rounds out the top 40, or rounds out the 40 car field, excuse me.
Oh boy, what an emotional night, right? I mean, honestly, the fact that race went green is probably what allowed him to win that race. I don't see him winning that race if he doesn't get that code 60.
Agreed, 100%. If the field bunches up and he didn't have that gap, I mean, the way that Bueller was running at the end of that, I don't think Thacker would have stood a chance. I mean, that race played out perfect for him.
Could not have gone much better. We'll get a chance now to give a chit-chat to all the drivers that finished this race on the top step on a beautiful afternoon. Aaron Thacker, for his 38th start, he finally takes home his first win of his beer league career. Aaron, it was mixed emotions last week when you came home and got it sniped right in the closing laps, but today you outlast a hard charger and you managed to make it work. Talk us through what you're feeling right now.
Dreams do come true, you guys. As I kind of said last week, got a podium, and I kind of called out that this car, for whatever reason, fits my driving style. This week didn't really qualify well, was kind of middle of the pack in the heat race. But then flag to flag, man, I just drove laps and I was just in the zone. And with a couple of laps left, I was like, I might win this. And then I saw Bueller behind me. I was like, uh-oh.
Overall, talking to the race this afternoon, it went caution-free. The fact that it went caution-free might have very well won you the race tonight. You had over a 10-second gap, and that just dropped off to under a tenth and a half into the final corners. What happened in the final 15 minutes?
Yeah, you're spot on there. The fact that it went caution-free, I was actually okay on fuel. I didn't run out until way after the finish line, but I did run out. I just was low on tires. I was pushing harder than I thought in the middle part of the race. And Bueller is really good when the car gets slippery. And the car got slippery, and Bueller got closer and closer, and managed to hold him off.
Looking forward, it's one of the few races that we actually know where it's going to be next week. It's Snetterton. It's the 200 layout. It's a very unique track in of its own right. A lot of longer straights, though. Is that something that plays to your strengths, or are you going to be fighting the car over there?
I'm unsure, because our first two rounds, these tracks have been a bit flowy, and I like a car with a little bit of a loose rear where I can drive it with the rear tires. I'm not entirely really super familiar with Snetterton. I've raced it a few times, but only one way to find out is go there, put some laps in, and try and get on the podium for the team.
We wish you the best of luck. Congratulations on finally taking your first race win of your beer league career. We'll hopefully see you maybe trying to go for the double next week.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it. I love the Barcast as always.
And we appreciate you as well. Aaron Thacker takes home the race win this afternoon. No sign of our third or second place finisher, Alexander Bueller. There is, however, Alex Cover, 36 spots gained. No surprise there. He's the hard charger, and he's standing by with Austin Edstrom.
Alex, it was another, well, great race from you. Going from the back to the front has obviously become your staple here in the beer league, and, well, you did it again tonight. Not quite enough in it to be able to bring home the checkered flag. What more did you need? Because it felt like you got through the field relatively good. The race ran green the entire way through. What was the difference in first to third?
Fuel. I just had to cruise the last 20 minutes. I was just driving to a fuel number, and so it was pretty much all I could do. Maybe if I stretched the first stint another lap, I could have, but with just the way it was running, I was just really hoping for a caution to close that gap, or I was hoping for them to be in a worse fuel situation. But props to them. They did it just as good as I did, if not better, and they were able to keep that gap all the way to the end.
Well, Cofford, at a place like this, Mid-Ohio, there's a lot of tight, twisty corners at a racetrack like this. Not a lot of room to kind of maneuver, and we proved last week that this car was relatively difficult to pass with, right? Ron Wolf led just about the entire race, even though he had a line of cars lined up behind him. So how are you able to do it, man? How are you able to come through from 40th on the grid up to third, get yourself a heck of a finish? I know you've just got the pace in it, but even at a track like this where it just seems to be really, really difficult to pass, how are you able to get through the field?
A lot of it is just allowing other people to make mistakes. The majority of passes that I make, I try to put cars too wide and not really even send it, but just put them in lines that they don't typically run. Dive to the outside so they have to be farther inside into a braking zone than they're used to. And just give them different looks over and over and over. And by virtue of just, I don't know, I'm good at that. Like I like running alternate lines. I like challenging myself in that way. So it's a strong suit for me. But I put other people in a position where they're uncomfortable. And from there, it's pretty much self-inflicted from that point. Is they're unable to hit a line that they're capable of normally. And I'm able to make passings kind of squeak through. So it's definitely a challenge in this car. It's really difficult, especially the front end of the pack. So, I mean, I'm just hoping that there's enough in there for a win or two at all this season.
Well, Coppard, whenever we were watching you come through the field, we had seen you and Romano kind of duking it out. You had kind of gotten the positioning over him, and then Romano gets spun out right behind you, coming over turn number 9 with about 30 minutes to go. Whenever you see something like that, you think of Romano probably as your main competitor. In the back of your mind, are you thinking, "Oh, I've got a really good chance at winning this race now"? Seeing Romano off spinning off behind you.
On one side, no. I mean, I don't think I have a really good chance in this car. I think it's that challenging. So do I have a outside chance? Yes. But for your point with Gio, yeah, he's straight up better than me in this car. He's insanely fast. And so for him to have that incident, and then obviously he had an internet disconnect, you're right, that does kind of boost my chances. But in general, I try not to peg him. I try to look at just kind of the grand scheme, because once you're towards the front, anything can happen, but you have to get to there first in order to even have a chance.
Well, Coppard, I'm glad that you don't peg Gio either. But congratulations on your top 3 finish. Looking forward to seeing if you can make it, get another one next week.
Thanks, man.
That was your 3rd place finisher, Alex Coppard. I'm going to throw it back over to Nolan before I get in trouble.
I'm going to let you sit and think about that for a little while in uncomfortable silence. I don't have to say anything. I don't have to say anything, I don't think. I'm just going to let you sit and stew with that for a little bit. You think about what you've done. All right. Well, we know what's up next, right, Austin? It's Snetterton. It's a trip back to the UK. We always go racing to the UK at some point in these beer league races. I don't know if this is going to go. I mean, I have mixed feelings about Snetterton. I'm not a fan of driving it per se, but who knows? Long straights, hard braking zones. It could put on a good race.
I'll be honest, I've never seen that daggum track, so I'm looking forward to just seeing what it looks like.
Well, it'll be fun to, I'll tell you what, a lot of grass. So grass oceans everywhere, but it'll be a fun drive, no doubt. Before we get to all of that, we still have to figure out where things are going to be at for the next few days on Green Flag TV. No shows on Thursday or Friday. We will be back, as always, on Saturday when we see the SRA IL Truck Series swing down to Atlanta Motor Speedway over in Hampton, Georgia. For the Hampton, Georgia 200, meanwhile, it will, of course, be the Hindsight Racing League MFRD Premier Series kicking off playoff season for race number 16 at the Auto Club Speedway on Monday night. And then Tuesday is over in Avondale to the Phoenix Raceway for race number 3. If you want to find out more about who we are, what we can offer you, you can check us out today at www.greenflagtv.com. Once again, thank you so much for joining us, everybody. What a race this afternoon, and the championship will continue to escalate when we go racing next week across the pond in the UK.